So here's a perfect example of a test problem, except for if it's on my math lab, it'd probably be multiple choice. If it's in person in class, it would be something that is select which of the four works and probably explain your reasoning. Okay, determine which of the four levels of measurement, and we actually list them out, nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio, is most appropriate. So first of all, the first example is different types of movies. Drama, comedy, that'd be adventure. So first of all, those are different names or labels. So we know that that is going to be qualitative data to begin with. So qualitative, or the other name for it is called categorical, which means we are going to limit ourselves to either nominal or ordinal. Well, if it's categorical, it's at the very least nominal. The question is, can I go ahead and use ordinal? Because that's stronger. If we can use it, we want to. Ordinal means that we can rank things. Well, can I rank drama above comedy or adventure above comedy? They're just names. So I can't really rank one as higher or lower than the other without putting some of my opinion in it. And really, these are just names. So it doesn't make sense to put any kind of order. So I have to leave it as just strictly nominal data. Let's take a look at this next one. In B, we have the temperatures in Lakeland for the month of July. Well, first of all, the fact that we're looking at temperatures means that we're looking at quantitative data. So that means we're looking at either interval or ratio. Well, we know if we're looking at quantitative data, we're at the very least looking at interval. The question is, can I use ratio? Because that's stronger. Remember, what's going to be the determiner between interval and ratio is whether or not you have that inherent zero. Meaning, is there a way to say that there's no temperature? Well, we talked about this a little bit ago. There is no way to say that there's no temperature because even 0 degrees is a temperature. There's no way to say that there isn't a temperature. So if there is no inherent zero, can't be ratio. You have to stick with interval. Next one, the New York Times bestseller list. Now this one's a little bit misleading because you think of a list as being your data, but what is on your list? Well, it's a bestsellers list of what? Well, the New York Times bestseller list is just a bunch of books, or names of books, actually, which means what kind of data are you looking at? You're looking at something that is categorical, which means, again, just like the first one, we're either down to nominal or ordinal. At the very least, we're going to be definitely nominal. Now, I will say this. What do we know about the New York Times bestseller list? It's already in order, and that's the special part about ordinal, is it needs to be in an order or be able to be put in an order. Well, it already is in order, so we're going to go ahead and say, yep, we can put it in order. It already is in order, so we'll use ordinal because that's stronger. We want to use it if we can. Let's take a look at D. D, gender. Well, what are options for gender? Male or female? Well, that's definitely not numerical data. What that means, we're looking at categorical. Their attributes. We're either male or female. So that means we're either down to nominal or ordinal. Remember, the difference between nominal and ordinal is whether or not we can order our data. Can I order females or males above one another? No, you can't. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be fair. So we can't do an ordering of genders. So we're stuck with just calling it regular nominal data. Let's take a look at this next one. Speed of cars. Well, when you're talking about how fast a car is going, its speed, we're talking about miles per hour. That's going to be a number. So that's going to be quantitative data. So we are then either going to be talking about interval or ratio. And again, the difference, just like before, is asking the question, do I have the inherent zero? Meaning, is there a way to say that there is no speed? Well, how do you say that your car has no speed? There is a way to do that. You'd say your car is going 0 miles per hour. So there is a way to do that. So because there is an inherent zero, you can use ratio. And we want to use it then because it's stronger. It's the highest level we can use. It does fit because there is an inherent zero. So we're not going to say interval. We're going to say ratio. Last one here, year of birth. Okay, well, we are talking about a number, and it does make sense that we can subtract those numbers. For example, if I was born in, let's say, 1985 and somebody else was born in 1986, I can subtract those two, and what it tells me is somebody is a year older than me, or a year younger than me, excuse me. So we do have quantitative data. The question then is it interval or is it ratio? Again, this all has to do with whether or not you have that zero, that inherent zero, which means is there a way of saying that you have no date of birth, basically? Well, if I gave the year 0, that's a specific year. That actually means something, that you were born on the year 0 AD. Well, that doesn't mean that there was no date of birth. So, is there a way of saying that there's no date of birth? No, there's not, which means that there's no inherent zero, which means we can't use ratio and we'll be stuck with using interval to talk about year of birth. Now, I do want to be careful. I'm going to actually add in one last one as an example, because I think people get so pigeonholed into thinking that all numbers mean something. So let's talk about, see, the data set can be the numbers on football jerseys. So numbers on football jerseys. And the reason why I wanted to bring this one up is because numbers on football jerseys are special. They are technically numbers, but what are they? They're more ways of identifying a player. For example, 4 on the Green Bay Packers was always Brett Favre. So even though it was a number, it was more of an identifying attribute. So it wasn't actually used as a number that you could do math with, which means it's not quantitative. That 4 is actually more of a name. So we would actually, the numbers on football jerseys would be considered categorical. Now, then you would have to say, well, is it nominal or ordinal? Well, can you rank one number, so player 4, and then you've got player 64 as 1, 2, 3, 4? It doesn't really make sense unless you put them in order, just going from least to greatest, which I guess you could, but it wouldn't have any meaning, really. So this could be argued, but I would say nominal, but this would be more of a question as to whether or not it's categorical or quantitative, and it's definitely categorical. So another good example would be hair dye colors. A lot of times they have a number on them, but they're not really a number that you can do anything with. It's more of a number that identifies what color you're using. It's an attribute. It's a descriptive number, not a number you can actually do anything mathematical with. So kind of keep that in mind, that you don't get pigeonholed into thinking, oh, a number means it's quantitative. No, a number means it's quantitative if you can actually do math that's meaningful with it. So I wanted to just quickly address that.